Our topic tonight is on gratitude for service. Got that, Pat? Okay. I'm going to begin by reading the 9-step promises, which I think fits right into what happens to us when we actually get into this aspect of service. The 9-step promises. We are painstaking about this phase of our development. We'll know a new freedom and a new happiness. We'll not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We'll comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down we have fallen, you will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We'll lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We'll intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. That our service to God, a higher power, and the greater good has done for us would seem humanly impossible. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled amongst us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. I wanted to conclude this series on gratitude because I really believe one of the greatest gifts of gratitude is the gift of service. But I'm going to spend some time tonight talking about that word, the word service, and talking about the concept of it. Because sometimes I think in life, all of us, we have a tendency to look at service from a different perspective. One thing I've learned about service is there has to be balance in service. I'll show you what I mean. So many of us, when we think of service, we think of doing things for others, always being available, doing things in different directions, doing service to other people. But there's two types of service. Truly, to be balanced, I have to be able to give and to receive. One of the hardest things to do in life for a person of service is to learn the value of receiving, to realize the importance of that. Because I think sometimes we get caught up and I only see service from one perspective. And again, I'm talking from my own experience because I know in my own life, I spent years and years and years thinking I was doing service. My years in the priesthood, thinking I was helping everybody. But in reality, I never realized it. I really, really was enabling a lot of people, even though I probably did help some people. But in the meantime, I forgot something. I've always had a problem. I know many of us were taught this just like I was. It's almost like I don't deserve. Everybody else deserves, but I don't. So very many times when people would actually bring things to me or want to share things with me, I'd often say I would get uncomfortable because I almost felt like it's okay. I don't mind doing for you. You don't have to do for me. And so it's that concept again that if we truly, truly have the gift of service, then we also have the gift of receiving. And also the gift, which is a powerful thing in the world, is to be able to ask for help, ask for guidance, ask for direction, and realize that we can't do it by ourselves. And to me, I've learned over the course of the years the importance of that. But like anybody else, I had to learn it the hard way. I had to learn it, babe. I beat myself into the ground. And it's amazing because it's funny how where these things come from. My father was a man of service. My father did everything for everybody. Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Fantastic, Mr. South Camden. Everybody loved him. He thought he was the greatest thing on the face of the earth. The only problem was my father never did a thing for himself his whole entire life. I even joke about this today, but my aunt got married and she didn't have, dishes for her family's get together. My father gave her our dishes. Now, we didn't have any, but no, my cousin, my aunt did. That's my father. He'd take the shirt off his back and give it to you. But then when somebody tried to give him a shirt, or give him something, he would always go like this. And I learned that in my life, and it's sad. And many of us learn this in very many different ways. It's almost like we don't understand sometimes that service has that two-way street. It's called balance. Everything in life has to be balanced. I have to be able to realize the fact that doing service is being able to help, but also at the same time, being able to receive help. I want to share this tonight because I really believe very deeply in this concept. Because we come into recovery, we talk a lot about the concept of service. And one of the things I've learned, there are different ways and different phases, different concepts of doing service. Like tonight, I'm doing a service. I'm sharing my thoughts, my feelings, the stuff that my story, my life, I'm sharing them with you. Now, I also know as a result of me doing this, I'm probably going to be able either to help somebody or touch somebody. But in reality, why am I really doing it? Because in sharing my story and sharing my thoughts, my experiences, the things that go on inside of me, it's helping me to be able to understand myself a lot better. It took me a long time to learn that principle and to realize the fact that that principle actually works. Because for a long period of time, I simply was looking at things from a one-way street. And I realized today, when I pick up a telephone, one thing that my sponsor told me, my sponsor would say, make at least 3 phone calls a day. But I had this thing, why should I call somebody if I don't have a problem? What am I going to talk about? Can't you just call and say hello? Hope you're having a good day. Just thinking about you. It's these little things that so many times we kind of take for granted. I don't know about you, but I get a lot of phone calls. And sometimes I'm very happy when I get a phone call from somebody that says, hi, Vince, I was just thinking about you. How's your day going? How's your back feel? How's this going? You know, and that's somebody calling up saying, I got a problem. Would you help me solve it? Will you help me fix it? I need a combination of both. We all do in the course of our life. And so as a result, yes, being service is being able to give advice, give some direction, but I've also learned that doing service is not doing it for the other person. I can give suggestions. I can show them where to go. I can show them what they can do. But once you start doing it for them, you've crossed the line when it comes to service. And believe me, I crossed that line many a times. I mean, I basically coerced people into different types of things in the course of my journey, thinking I was doing good. And literally, probably in the long run, I had to make amends later on, my 8th and 9th step, to make amends to people. Because I knew a lot of times I was doing it out of anger, out of frustration, a lot of different ways. What I'm learning today is that I can help someone. I can give them advice. Is that old saying we have, you heard it before. I can lead the horse to water. I can even shove the horse's head in the water, but I can't make the horse drink the water. The horse will only drink the water when it chooses to drink the water. We're all individuals. We're all people. We're all on a journey. We all have experiences. We have things we've gone through in the course of our journey in life. And every experience is something that we can share, we can connect, we can learn, we can grow from. And yet I've learned over and over again, the greatest people on the face of this earth for me are the people who have the courage to share their experience with me, because I learned from them. Some of the greatest teachers I've had in the course of my life are people, ordinary, everyday people who had the courage to say things, who had the courage to talk, who had the courage to share. You know, I joke about this a lot, but I always tell people, sometimes in recovery we get carried away a little bit. We decide that, I'm in recovery now. I have to make sure the whole neighborhood gets into recovery, even though they don't even know what I'm talking about. And basically, because I want to be this person that's going to make them understand. And I'll tell you a funny thing. When I first got involved in my recovery from codependency and my adult children issues, and I read all the books, got all the information, really put it together, I went home to visit my wonderful, fantastic Italian family. And I decided to tell them what I had discovered. I tried to explain to them that they were a dysfunctional family. And if they only read these books, then they would understand it. I can still see my Aunt Phil sitting in a chair saying to me, "We send you away to school, you come back crazy." She'd go like this to me all the time. And as a result, what I did was I alienated my whole entire family. Wanted nothing more to do with me. Because basically, I went in there and I decided they all need help. And I've got the answers. See the concept? And as a result, what I was really doing is I was actually shaming them. I was actually telling them there's something wrong with them. But in reality, this is my issue. Just because I am working a recovery program, or was I really working a recovery program? Or was I deciding to work their recovery program for them? See, we're not saviors. We're just human beings. And as a result, we have to learn the fact that all we can do is carry a message. But the message has to come from our heart, not from our head. The message is my spirit, my energy, what's going on inside of me. We're human beings. That means we have faults, we have failings. We have beautiful things. We're all parts of us. There's a combination of everything inside of us. We're a complete mosaic, every one of us. But all of us have experiences. And our experiences can become strengths or they can become detrimental. That's up to us. So what we can do is share our experience, but share from our heart, not from our head. Because I can figure everything out. I can read all the books, I can go to school. And I tell this to my young interns so many times. Because they'll come in there and they're just they get ready for a master's degree, and they studied all the different therapies, all the different concepts and everything. They got all that knowledge and they're ready to go. I normally try to give them kind of a tough case. And they come to me and they say, "What am I going to do with this person? It doesn't fit any of my diagrams." I said, "Why don't you just listen to them? Spend time with them. Get to know them." But they've been in so many programs. That's okay. They want to talk to you right now. Listen, learn, develop. Some of my greatest teachers on the face of this earth were people that were down and out and on the street. Wisdom comes from some of the special places. But experience, that's what you're here for now, to get experience, to learn. Because you have to realize the fact not everybody's going to come in and fit a cookie cutter diagram. Be honest with you, I took my courses in counseling way back in the 70s. I don't even remember half of them anymore. But that's okay. That was an experience. But you build on your experience, you learn from it, you grow from it. You do that by being a person of service. But also being able to realize the fact and acknowledging yourself as an individual. It's real interesting sometimes in the concept of giving back. What I'm able to take the gift that I have inside of me and share it with somebody else. And they would take their gift and share it with me. This is what you call interaction, connecting to each other. They have a saying in AA, pick up the 400-pound phone and make a phone call. Codependent, so I have to change that to pick up the 1,000-pound phone and make a phone call. I don't want to bother anybody. Are you bothering somebody by saying hello? Are you bothering somebody by asking if they're having a good day? Are you bothering somebody by telling them that you just called to say hi? These are the things we need. We're human beings. We need the touches of love, the connection of love, the sharing of things with one another. Now, for years, I did service when I was in my OA program over here in Williamstown. Every Monday night, 6 o'clock, I would unlock the church, shut the alarms off, set the books up, put stuff in place. At the end of the meeting, help me put everything away, put the alarm on, shut the door. To me, okay, that was service for me. But then I had to learn something. There were many, many times I couldn't make it. I had to pick up the 400-pound phone and ask somebody else to do it. And sometimes that was hard to do because I made a commitment to do that every Monday night. But I needed help. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for direction. It's okay to realize the fact that you don't have to do it just on your own. And that's where the spiritual part of service it comes into play. It's the spirit. I want to share my spirit with people, my energy with people. I want to be able to connect with them. I want to be able to feel their spirit and their energy and feel connected to them. Some of to use a term, some of the people sometimes that I really had a hard time with, I'm grateful for them today. Many people I got angry at when I was going through my own transition and changes, I thank them today. It's amazing. You really release the concept of spirit. I want to share the spirit and the energy of a person, and only one other person here knows this individual. And Billy, you know who I'm talking about. A guy whose first name started with a W. Beautiful man, Woody. He gave so much of himself. But the difference in him was I learned something from him. He gave, but he also knew when to receive and when to ask for help. And many times he put his arm around somebody in coaching teams and doing things, and he would listen. I loved him because he was a great listener. He would listen to you. He was a very spiritual man, very powerful man. Sometimes I don't think he knew it, but he was. And I have a photograph in my office of me and him standing in the middle of about 70 or 80 wacky teenagers, surrounded by them. You know what I felt in that room that night? I felt the energy of all those kids, the specialness, the connection. I even had Billy involved in putting plays on. It was fantastic. We're doing all kinds of great stuff. It was just energy. See, that spiritual energy is so powerful and so beautiful, and we all have it. But for that energy to really work, it's got to be shared. It's not about how you look externally. It's more important how you look internally. It's your spirit. Your body has flaws. Your body's going to break down. You're going to get older. Things are going to happen. It's life. But what's more important than that is, what's your spirit like? What's the energy inside of you like? I've seen people become such great teachers. One of my greatest teachers on the face of this earth is a man I actually mocked when I was 22 years old. When I was in the seminary. His name was Father Pete Code. Never forget him. You know why I mocked him? Because I was 22 and he was 92. And he was going to be my teacher. And my line was, what does he know about teaching a 22-year-old? Shouldn't he be on a porch somewhere in a rocking chair, reading books? We go all these conceived things we put inside of ourselves. What I learned from Pete was, Father Pete, he has so much wisdom. But you know what happens when you're 22 years old? You're not ready to hear that wisdom yet. But he did something so powerful. He planted that stuff in here. And I really got to know him years after he died. I always tell the story. I'll always tell it. And this is the beautiful thing about Father Pete. One funny part about it was he had a house off campus Now, this is when he was 94 years old. He had a new roof put on his house. He was fighting for a 20-year guarantee for the roof. That's what I call the power of positive thinking. He died when he was 99. And we had to take turns in the seminary to be with him in the infirmary when he was in this, today would be called hospice. It wasn't called that back then. Or to help take care of him. He did this to me one day. He said, "Come here. Look at that finger." He said, "Little boy, come here." You know, I guess when you're 99, you can call somebody in their 20s a little boy. Come on, get over here. He said, "Now, go to the library and get me these books." I said, in my mind, I'm saying this out loud. This man's on his deathbed. He wants me to go to the library and take 6 books out for him. This is insane. Shouldn't he be just saying his prayers and getting ready to go? He said, "Go." I got the books and brought them back. And I finally asked him, I said, why do you want these 6 books? He said, "I'm not dead yet. So don't pronounce me dead until I'm dead. I need to learn something new before I die." That's powerful. When you're young, you say, "Okay, go ahead, young." But later on, you understand all that as you go through your own experiences, your own strengths. You realize the people that you spend your life with, you're connected with, they have so much wisdom to impart on you. It's unfortunate, though, that they plant seeds. I know they do. And later on, these things come alive inside of you if you allow them to. If you open the door to them. We develop a sense and be open to learn new things, to grow. Please, please, I beg you, don't ever be done. Don't be done. You're always growing, you're always learning, you're always discovering. This is the energy of what service is, and this is doing service to yourself, so you can then do service to others. If I don't take time to learn new things and develop new things in my life and be open to new ideas and new directions, then how can I actually implant that and share that with somebody else? If I just want to hide in my little corner. But I realize God works in mysterious ways. The higher power is always there guiding us and kicking us in the right spot every once in a while to get us moving. And that's okay too. And I know God sends messengers into our life to be our teachers. And I'm grateful today for many, many, many messengers in the course of my journey in life. And most of them I didn't want to listen to. Do you ever think about that? Sometimes the ones you prejudge, you don't want to listen to, become the best teachers of all. I always tell you the story of little Joe. It's not his real name, by the way. I don't use real names. But little Joe was a guy that came to our halfway house in Philly when I was a priest. Came off the streets. And this guy with a shopping bag and everything he owned in a shopping bag, I gave him a bunk. He took a crucifix out of his shopping bag. He held it up and he showed it to me. He was doing service to me. I looked at the crucifix. It was bent. The arm was hanging down. It was dirty. Probably got out of a trash can somewhere, I'm sure. I said, "Who's that?" He said, "That's the boss." I said, "Tell me about the boss." I talk to him every day. Some days I tell him, he's a nice guy. I like him. Some days I can't stand him. Some days he's a pain. Some days I curse at him. Other days I tell him how much I love him. Now, I had a little street wino teaching me how to pray. Because that came from his heart, from his feelings. And some days he was angry and he shared that with God. He shared that with his higher power. Other days he felt good. He shared that. How many of us can actually sometimes just be able to take our feelings and share our feelings with the God of our understanding? And sometimes be angry at God. It's okay. We're human beings. We have to allow ourselves to be human. We're going to go through disappointments. We're going to go through all different types of things. We're going to go through struggles. It's amazing when you look at this whole concept and different things. And I always try to say, try to the best of my ability to learn from it. And believe me, it's not easy, it's hard. I'll give you a good example of my own life. This is the year 2024. I think it is, right, Pat? Okay, I just want to double check to make sure. Yeah. But this year 2024 has been very interesting. Now, my wife and I, we usually go to bed, instead of welcome the New Year in. So our phone rang at 5 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Day. I answered the phone. They were calling from the group home my wife's sister was in, who was mentally challenged. They had just rushed her to the hospital. So I didn't get a chance to say Happy New Year. We got dressed real fast, went to the hospital. She had major seizures. She had all kinds of medical problems. And 8 days later, she died. We did the funeral. We gave her a great send off, everything else, the stuff going together. My wife was loaded down with paperwork because she's your guardian. And then shortly after the funeral, my wife broke her arm. I now had to be able to adjust my schedule because she couldn't drive for 2 months. So I had to be able to help her to get dressed, different types of things. And then right after she got cleared, her arm is healed now, and she's in physical therapy to rebuild the strength. I ended up doing something stupid and hurting my back. Now it's her turn to help me. I told her sometime around we get through these things, we're going to just sit still and wish each other a happy new year. And that's okay. But you know what? That's service. That's what service is. That's what gratitude to service is. I'm grateful I could help her, and I'm grateful she can help me now. I'm grateful we can help one another. I'm grateful to my neighbors who come over and help me out with different things and do all kinds of things that I really can't do a lot of them. Bring my trash out this morning. My neighbor next door came over and put it out for me. This is service. Now, we're not just putting signs on it, but these are the things, to help somebody. Maybe, there's one gentleman here in my community where I live. After the trash people go by, he goes to everybody's house and takes their trash cans, puts them up by their garage, That's his thing he does every week. It's called service. There's a gentleman here. I know who he is, but basically every springtime and for the summer, our entranceway when you come in, a lot of people throw trash, there's different stuff in there. He's out there 3 times a week cleaning that area up, all by himself, bagging all the trash, making the front of our place look nice, our development. That's called service. He's not asking for accolades or anything to that effect. It's just service. I have the opportunity to work with a bunch of men and a bunch of women who take care of our clubhouse. And we clean toilets, we clean bathrooms, we clean floors, and just to be around a bunch of guys like that, a bunch of people like that. Service. It's the little things that are so powerful and so beautiful. To be able to experience that. To be able to reach out and ask for help and ask for guidance, ask for direction. And realize the fact that I need you and you need me. We need each other. That is the spiritual concept of service. Doesn't mean I share my feelings with everybody, but I can share at the different levels with different people. And I have to realize the fact that recovery is a gift. Life is a gift. Family is a gift. Service is a gift. Sharing is a gift. We have so many gifts that are unbelievable. They're so special and they're so beautiful. We have to be able to be open to them, learn from them. We're going to go through times, we're going to go through a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. We're going to experience loss. I was looking at the entrance to our building today when I was up there, and there's a plaque on the wall. The 6 people, the 6 founders of Starting Point, the group of us that put this thing together. And every time I look at it, there's this eerie feeling that goes on inside of me because I'm the only one on that plaque that's alive. And I have to say thank you. in gratitude. Yeah, who knows? Nobody knows. I go into the lecture hall, I look on the walls, and I see all these names of people who've gone through our doors at one time or another, members of their families, people that have committed, done beautiful things. And I do a prayer service. I say thank you to them in gratitude because they're all part of family. We don't forget. Yes, we grow older, and yes, one day my name will be on that wall somewhere. Someone save me a nice spot that we can put on there. But basically, we can experience the fact. I look at the big wall on the one side has the names and pictures of all the counselors that have died. Our garden outside has stones to all the counselors that have died. They're all people that I spent a lot of time with in my life. Every morning I read a meditation book, and the front of it is a message from a lady that was a big part of my journey. Teresa was a counselor at our place. You know, it's ironical how life just takes you in different directions. I met Teresa when I gave a lecture at a rehab. I was a priest. After the lecture came when she was a patient, she came up to me and she said, "Are you a priest?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I hate priests. They're a pain in the ass." I'm not going to use the word she used. But anyway, she went on to become one of my best friends, a great counselor at Starting Point, turned her life around, helped a tremendous amount of people, but also was a lady of service. Because what she would do is she would volunteer for people that were sent us to community service. She would volunteer to supervise them. And back then, they would do all the gardening outside. They would take care of the building, do all kinds of stuff. That was part of community service. Service has a lot of faces, a lot of different areas in life. It's one of the greatest gifts of gratitude. So what I'm saying tonight is take the time to be grateful for who you are. Be grateful for the people you've been experienced in your life. But try your best to be a person of service, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever way you possibly can, socially. We have all different little ways, and not so much gigantic things either. We're not going to change the world. Please don't try to. Believe me, I did that job. It doesn't work. And you end up in a hospital when you do that kind of crazy stuff. Don't try to change the world. But you can work on yourself and then maybe reach out and touch another human being. And helping another human being helps you to grow and become somebody better. That's all. Real simple stuff. Not complicated. You know, it's amazing sometimes when you see these kinds of things when people actually step up. And you might just help a person walk up the steps. You might help them do a lot of things. As he has done a lot of service with me because I couldn't carry a lot of stuff out to my car because of the injury. And so now she carries stuff out. Cindy carries stuff out. Yeah, and the rain, they don't even put a jacket on. They might make me crazy. That's all right. And basically, we all give, we share with each other, we stay connected with each other. That's what it's really all about. It's called family. Are we all perfect? No. We have plenty of imperfections. Welcome to the club. Good God. At the same time, each person plays a role. We're connected as part of the mosaic of life. We're all interconnected with one another. That's what's important. And so this whole series we did on gratitude is take time every day, and I learned this, to do a gratitude list. What are you grateful for? Take a few minutes with a piece of paper and write down the things you're grateful for. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for a lot of different things in the course of my life because as I get older, I'm realizing everyone was a gift. Even addiction is a gift that takes you to recovery. We have to be able to open the doors up to look at different things in different directions. I hope this series helps you a little bit just to see the value of that gift of gratitude. One of the mantras I say every day, to try to the best of my ability, to have an attitude of gratitude an attitude of humility, an attitude of acceptance, and an attitude of love. It's a powerful process. Try. And if you're grateful for the first person you're grateful for, look in that mirror tonight and say, I'm grateful for you because you're God's creation. And then give the gift of yourself to someone close to you. It might just be a hug. It might be an hello. It might be just paying attention to someone. Nothing gigantic. It's the little stuff that makes life beautiful and great. And that's the beautiful part about it. I come back down to it. So my prayer tonight is that we take these gifts of gratitude and that we try to live them in our life to the best of our ability. So let us pray. God, we come before you in prayer. We ask the God of our understanding, our higher power, our divine presence. Help us to be able to realize the fact that we're not on this journey alone. We're all part of one another. We are connected to each other. We're all family. Please help us to be open to all the lessons that come our way, even the ones that we have a hard time with, even the ones we don't want to face or deal with. That's okay. Everything in life is a lesson, it's experience. We thank you, God, every day for those people that have gone before us. Many of whom are not here with us physically right now, but their spirit, their energy, and the gift of service is here with us. And maybe we are here today and doing what we're doing because they had the gift to be able to share their gift. Teach us the responsibility to pass it on. And our life never really comes to an end. We pass on the energy of our spirit, and hopefully others will pass it on from there. We are simply conduits for the higher power. We're channels. So do the best you can each day of your life. Remember, and I thank you for what I learned from Father Pete. You're not done until you're done. There's always something new to learn, something new to experience, something new to be part of. We pray and we ask for guidance and direction. And please, please help us to be open to your messengers when they come our way. We ask this in your name. Amen.